I'm Abby Fink, and I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I recently came out to my grandfather. He was kind of the last one in my family to know. And his name is Irving, and he's this old, like 90-year-old little Jewish man who still lives in Minneapolis, where I'm from. And he lives in this apartment complex with all of his old buddies from the old neighborhood, and every time I'm home, I make sure to visit him and like have a meal with him, have dinner, have lunch with him. And I'm pretty close with him. I call him every couple weeks. Usually we have a phone conversation and he asks how New York is or school or wherever we are. And in every single conversation, he's like, "Do you have a boyfriend? Like, do you have a boyfriend yet? Like, where's your boyfriend?" And I was like, "No, Grandpa, I don't have a boyfriend. Like, I don't have enough time." And I make up an excuse. I'm studying, whatever. And just recently, since I started moving to New York, which was almost a year ago, he started asking me, "Do you have a boyfriend?" And then at the end, he would be like, "Well, do you have a girlfriend?" And it was kind of this like new thing. And I wasn't quite sure if it was because I moved to New York or if he kind of started catching on that I was 24 and never had a boyfriend. And I would still always chuckle and like didn't want to come out to him on the phone and like didn't really know how to react. And so I made a trip home with my girlfriend over Labor Day weekend a couple months ago. I brought her to Minnesota and I sat down with my dad and I was like, "Dad, like, what do I do?" And he was like, "What are you talking about? Like, she's going to come with, like, she's coming to lunch." And I was like, "Okay, like, what do I call Rennie?" And he was like, "You'll call her your girlfriend, like, you need to come out to Irv, you need to come out to your grandpa." And I was like, "Oh, okay." We actually went to go have lunch with him the day we were leaving, so I was like at home for 4 days, and it was like the last thing I had to do, and it was like the last thing I had to accomplish, and it was on my mind, and I was putting it off sort of, and like didn't know what to say, and we finally decided to go have lunch with him before I take my flight. He loves sushi, so we pick up sushi, and we get to the apartment, and somehow Rennie, my girlfriend, is like holding this gigantic platter of sushi, and she is the first one through the door of the apartment. And my grandfather has no idea who she is. Like, my grandfather has never met her before, like has never seen her face, like doesn't know who she is in the whole wide world. And she walks in with this platter of sushi in her arms. My grandfather's kind of like, "Who's this? Like, who is this girl? Like, who is she married to? Is this, rifling off my brother's names, thinking that like she was married to one of them, or like, I don't even know what he wasn't really saying anything that was relative to the situation." So she walks in and she's kind of like, "No," and like, "I'm Rennie," and like doesn't really say anything. And my dad is like, "This is actually Abby's girlfriend." And she and I kind of both make eye contact at the same time and are both like, "Surprise!" at the same time, like simultaneously. And everyone kind of chuckled. And then there was this long pause. And we were all kind of like waiting for him to respond. And he just goes, "I love it." And that was kind of it. And that started off the lunch, and we kind of got it out in the air, and we sat down and had sushi and talked with my grandfather, and they got along really well. And at the end of lunch, I went up to say goodbye to my grandpa and like, "See you next time. I don't know when I'll be back, but I'll see you soon. I'll call you in a week." And he was just kind of really gung-ho about it and really open. And he asked us if we were good to each other, and he asked us if we were good for each other and if we were happy. And we were just like, "Yes, everything's wonderful." And that was kind of it. My family is really important to me, and being open to my family and being who I am around them is very important. And I think that I felt much better after I sort of took that leap with my grandfather, and I felt close with him and I felt honest with him. It was hard because I was definitely considering just putting off the situation. And I think that is probably the mentality that a lot of people have when it comes to coming out to their grandparents. I mean, they're from a different time period. Maybe they're going to die soon, which is a little, but maybe that's the situation. And I would definitely recommend that people should trust themselves, and people have the opportunity to get closer with their grandparents and be honest and sort of create that relationship with them. And I think that they should take it rather than wait. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I wish I would have done it sooner, for sure.